Hey guys, it's another beautiful Sunday and I'm excited to be speaking to you again today about a very important matter, money. If you missed last week's episode, you missed a lot. For the first time, we had a special guest on the podcast, my very own father, Dr. Okezie Chuba. The conversation was centered on three key areas: finance, early career, and family. You want to go check it out if you haven't, and please do well to leave comments and feedback if you do get value from it. On this episode, we will delve a bit into one of the very first things that my father talked about on our last episode, money management. I'll make a deliberate attempt not to be too conscious of time today, otherwise I will not be able to say all I intend to say. Money management is something that now sounds like a broken record to me because I grew up hearing it every now and then. If you came to my father suddenly with a request that is not an emergency, get ready to hear these exact words. I do money management. What this taught me very early in life is the importance of planning, particularly financial planning. If it's not an emergency, you should plan properly for it. And even if it is an emergency, you can still plan properly to cushion the effects so it does not hit too hard. We all have that one friend who is relatively well-to-do or who makes a lot of money but is always broke. As an undergraduate student, I had friends whose parents used to give them 5 times my monthly allowance, but would come to me every now and then to borrow money. And now that I'm older, I still have friends who rake in crazy sums regularly, but are always broke or in debt. This has made me understand that managing money is as important as making money. Otherwise, you may make lots of money and yet you are always left wondering where it all went. I would consider doing a whole series to share everything I know about money management. However, on today's episode, I will focus on just one thing: record keeping. Peter Drucker said, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And so I think that the first step towards improving your cash flow is record keeping. The lesson is based on the assumption that you already have some form of cash flow. So we're not talking about making money here, we're talking about using it properly. Everyone has different sets of things that they do with their money, although some are common. You probably have a relatively clear picture of your monthly income. But if I asked you how much you spent on airtime in the last 1 month, or data, or light bills, or entertainment, are you able to give me a specific figure, or at least an estimate? Pause for a moment and reflect on it. Your sincere answer is probably no, and this is the first problem. Well, over the last 4 years, I have practiced the discipline of consistently recording all of my income and expenditure. It's become a part of me, and I hardly ever forget to do it. Note that I said all of my income and all of my expenditure. Now let's start with income. Income here is not just monthly salary from your paid employment or contracts. It's every single dime that enters into your hands or your accounts. If I get my salary, I record it. If someone randomly gifted me money, I record it. If I did a job that is different from my regular employment and got paid for it, no matter how small, I record it. If I did some investment and got returns, I record it. I record every single amount that I get, whether it is in cash or via a bank transfer. This way, I can keep track of my average month-to-month income. It helps me in 3 ways. 1, I can tell if my income is growing or staying the same. 2, I can tell where the bulk of my income is coming from and where I need to channel more time and energy. And 3, I can juxtapose my income and expenses to know if there is a balance or if I need to make adjustments. Now, let's go over to expenses. I record every single expense I make down to the last penny. If I buy airtime for my phone, I record it. If I buy data, I record it. If I pay for a TV subscription, I record it. If I go to the mall to buy groceries or other household items, I record it. If I spend money on transport, or if I gift money to someone or hang out with friends, I record it. And sometimes when I want to be extra, if I get gifted an item that I know the worth, for instance, if someone buys me food, I record it as an income and then as an expenditure item too. This practice also helps me in a number of ways. 1, I know where the bulk of my money is going. Am I spending money on frivolities or am I spending money on the right things? Is my money going towards investments and capital expenditure or am I spending a lot on recurrent expenditure? Am I wasting money in any way? 2, I can tell the percentage of my income that goes to each of my expenditure items. This is very important for planning and budgeting purposes. Sometimes I need to buy something again and I can't remember how much I bought it the last time. I simply go back and check. This way I can estimate how much I will spend on it again. Number 3, I can check if I'm spending more than my income. or I'm spending almost all of my income. Now, this is a recipe for disaster, especially if the expenses are mostly recurrent ones rather than capital expenses or investments. You really can't spend all of the money you earn because there will be times when you need to cash in on limited time opportunities that require an amount you should be able to afford on a normal day. On that day, you will regret all of the wasting you did. This discipline of keeping records helps me to do a proper audit of my income and expenditure. When you take a close look at the records at the end of the month, you will be amazed at how much you spent on some items. There was a time that I checked my records and saw the total amount I made in 1 year and how much I spent. Then I checked my account balance. You mean all this money passed through my hands and I have next to zero balance? Don't get me wrong, I didn't waste money per se. But on that day, I realized the overall effect of little drops. By auditing my expenses and income, I can also plan for the long term. If I spend this much on energy in 1 year, what if I invested in alternative energy sources? Would it be better for the long term? If I'm spending too much on carbs, would it be better to buy a car in the long term? If I discover that I'm spending 10,000 naira monthly buying data in bits, would it be better to buy cheaper in bulk? Now, these are just examples of the insights you can get from auditing your expenses, and it all begins with the records. There are many ways to practice this record keeping, like using an Excel sheet or Google Sheets, but it's better to do it on the go as it makes it a lot easier to inculcate discipline. Technology has made things easy, and there are automated tools that can help you do all of your tracking with your mobile device. Some of them can even do analytics and make suggestions. Others are able to connect to your text messages and detect your debit alerts directly. Now, I'm not being paid for any advert, but I'll tell you the app I use because it's seamless. It's called Spending Tracker. It has a brown wallet icon, and you can find it on Play Store or App Store. This app is free, and you can also get the premium version for less than the price of launch. As I said, there are many apps you can use, but this is the one I use, and it has been very helpful to me in the last 4 years. When you start practicing the discipline of record keeping, it may not be easy to stay consistent at first. But then, as you keep going, it becomes a part of you, and you even begin to do it subconsciously. Right now, there are some days when I record my expenses even without knowing, and I'm not exaggerating. I buy airtime and record, and later I ask myself, have I recorded? I check and realize I did. My hands already knew what to do right after the expense activity. With all of the information, where do I begin? You may be asking yourself. Simple. Download the spending tracker on your phone and start. Do it now, don't procrastinate. Find one that you think works best for you and try to use it this week. Start by trying to remember as much of the expenses you made last week and record them. Don't worry if you can remember all of them. Then make a plan to record every single income you get this week and every single expense you make. Then review at the end of the week, and your discoveries may leave you amazed. The final word: failure to plan is planning to fail. Well, that's just a play on words. There's nothing like planning, but you get the gist. The reason we are always broke may not be that you are not making enough money. It just might be that you are not managing your cash resources properly. Yes, I know that emergencies crop up, and sometimes even if you set your money aside for emergencies, your emergency may be bigger than your emergency fund. I would like to think that this isn't something that happens very regularly, but at least you can work on the things that you have control over. And you definitely have control over how you keep your records. So go ahead and begin the journey today. Alright, it's been a pleasure speaking to you today as usual. Let me know in the comments if you picked a valuable lesson from today's episode. Do well to share this with a friend too. Trust me, they need to hear what you just heard. Subscribe to get notified when new episodes drop, and importantly, have a beautiful week ahead. Till I come your way again, keep being amazing. My name is Murphy Nnamdi Chuba.